Good morning, Yaletown. Oh, I am so thrilled to be here. You know, being in spiritual community, it is truly, truly one of my favoriteest things to do in the whole wide world. And I appreciate it more because I wasn't really in for about 9 months. I wasn't in it. That's a long story, another talk, another time. But I just love you. I feel you from the moment I walked in here. You have something very, very, very special. So when I was packing to come here, grabbing the books off the shelf, we teach so within, so without, right? Oh, but all my answers are out here. So I'm scrambling books from my library. And last night I was saying to Kelly, I had a fabulous, fabulous dinner with her. And, sorry. This is right in my face. Is it blocking
you? It's gonna.
Okay, thank you. That one? Does that work fine? You guys can.
Yeah.
So we were talking, and I didn't have my talk. Like it wasn't there at all. And I've been thinking about the title of it. It's called "Look Before You Leap." Does anybody feel like they've ever been swallowed up by life before? Can you relate to that picture? And it was so perfect because to see I wasn't prepared the whole month since I've been doing this, Karen and I were talking, and I would get ideas and I'd write them down. So of course I was being prepared. It just didn't look like the way I thought it was supposed to look. It's like, and I think it's the way it is in life, especially when we're on the spiritual path. We have openings and we have closings. It's like the beating of the heart. And can you be okay with that? So it's like yesterday, seriously, there was nothing there. Nothing. And in the middle of the night, well, just before I go to bed, I got to get something. I know Spirit's going to be coming, but he's not coming very fast. I'm not getting my answers. So I'm sitting at the table or laying on my bed, all these books around me, and there's one book that I picked up. It's called Creating the Beloved Community. And it made me think of you, and I want to share this with you because I think it's so perfect for you in your community, for where you are now and where you're moving forward towards. So this is who you are. And this comes from last week, as Kelly was saying, we were at a conference. If you ever get a chance to go to a New Thought conference, I highly recommend it. It was like 3 days of complete love. The recordings for the talks that were given, they are available. I highly recommend them as well. Reverend Karen, she was off the hook. You guys got an off the hook minister. I know that you know that. You know that? You know that? And you know what? You know what I love about Karen is that, we're in the love fest. We're in the big love fest, right? Feeling it, feeling it, feeling it. She goes, now what about out here when we're not feeling the love? Who are you going to be? And I thought, oh, there she is. Stretch me to be more, to love the diversity. And can you love, it's easy to love everybody of like mind, but what about that family member that's not thinking the same way that you do? Can you love and accept them for who they are? So one of the speakers that was there was Jim Lockhart, and he's a brilliant, brilliant man. And if you do not get the talks from the conference, on CSL Kelowna website, there's a talk that he did with Reverend Ken, and it is absolutely dynamic as well. And it's they talk about creating a beloved community. So this is what I want to share with you and who you are. You know what? This is not. I know it's right in my face. That's better. Okay, we're just working it. You know what this is really all about? The deeper part of my talk is about finding your voice, right? So this is what we're wrestling with. Anybody else friggin' wrestle with the voice? It's all perfect, right? Now this is not going to work. There we go. Okay. Beloved community. So this is who you are. The beloved community is a collection of individuals who are learning how to love themselves, one another, and the universe. Regardless what name we give this idea, it is the same thing, the creation of the experience of belonging and experiencing the wonders of who we are individually and collectively. It's a place where purpose and passion meet, where we practice being the person we desire to be and support others in that effort. It is where our faith in spiritual principle is realize is true compassion and service. The beloved community is a strong attractor to those who seek realization. It's not a place of struggle, but of continual progress towards a vision. That progress may have its ups and downs, but there's a sense of forward motion and being involved in something vital. The beloved community can be seen in several contexts, or one that is universal sense of human community. And he gives the qualities of consciousness. So I know for you guys right now, this is what I set in mind for you. A consciousness of compassion, a consciousness of love and connection, a consciousness of deep and radical self-knowledge, a consciousness of healing, a consciousness of vision, a consciousness of pioneering, a consciousness of evolution and emergence, a consciousness of mutual support, a consciousness of contribution, a consciousness of possibility, and a consciousness of resiliency. I know this for you as you move forward. Do you feel that for yourself? Because you guys are it right now. You guys are it right now. So, we're halfway through the year, and the themes for CSL Kelowna, or for the world, was living a value-based life. And it's really been a guide for me looking at, what are my values and how do I live them? A real value that's really important for me is service and growth. So in those moments when I'm in my humanness and I don't feel like I can do a talk, or I'm scared, or I'm whatever, I know I'm called to that something higher. So it's served me well. So I ask you right now to look at, what are some of the values in your life, and how are you living them? Just a little check-in. And if you don't know what they are, it's something to explore, because it really ends up being that guiding force in our life. So we're in the value of accountability. And you guys right now have been doing the 4 agreements. So the 4 agreements is don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. So for the past month, I've been realizing, I've lived out of assumptions. Huge assumptions. And what are assumptions really? They're just thoughts. And what do we teach here? Thoughts are powerful and they create your reality, right? So in the honor of Father's Day, I was also looking at too that I was sitting in my office and I was looking through my window and it was dirty. I thought, you know what? That's kind of like what assumptions are. What they really are is just our beliefs. And what are beliefs? They're beliefs that just go on and on and on, and anchored on and on in our mind, and anchored by feeling. And being Father's Day today too as well, we'll tie all this in with beliefs. My father died 16 years ago. I miss him. I had a difficult relationship with him. But what I feel so grateful for, in the last 6 months of his life, I got to really see who my father was. My father was wounded. He couldn't be present for me when I was growing up the way I needed it to be. I think most children, to grow and to have their voice and to thrive, they need to be seen, heard, and validated. My dad wasn't able to do that for me. These assumptions that we make, they're so impactful in our life. I was, it was my first Christmas that I had been, it was at Christmas time, and I had been home the previous Christmas, and I was so excited to come home. So terribly excited, because I'd missed the previous Christmas. I was probably 21 years old. I walk in the door, and I'm so excited to come home. My dad is sitting in the chair watching his TV, and he didn't acknowledge me. I never went home for another Christmas, 20 years. I didn't go home. The instant assumption, it was so fast, I'm not valued, I'm not loved, I'm not important. He would say to me, Schnook, he goes, are you saving enough money? How much money are you saving? I couldn't hear that through he was concerned about my future. I heard it as, I'm only valued if I have this much money in the bank. Those are some of the core beliefs that I took on and I lived through. And what I'm grateful for is that I was able to heal a lot of those issues with my father. In preparing for this talk, this person came up, it was really great. His name is Lee Regnier, and he was a father to a 13-year-old and 11-year-old children. And he realized he wasn't being a very good father. And he thought, to look after children, you have to go and get education. But what kind of education do dads get? They don't get any. So in his book, he did all this research and he wrote this book. And this is what he came up with, 28 stories. He said, there are 28 stories in this book. Each book brings home a vibrant view of the success or failure as a father. Kevin divided the world of dads as long straw and short straw dads. I like to call it wounded or unwounded dads, because I really don't think anyone's got is long or short, you're inadequate or not adequate. It's just, are you operating from your wound or you're not? And it really helped me to see that, you know, in my case, my dad was just wounded. He was a functional alcoholic. You know, he met the basic needs of the family, but he wasn't there for me emotionally. But I look at, you know, my struggles to find myself, to get to my voice, all that. I never would have been on this journey if it wasn't for my father. So it was perfect. But I feel so grateful that I had the opportunity to love my dad and to be present when he was making his transition. I got to see the sensitive man that was there. You know, he was so, I never felt like growing up that I had my dad's attention. And the last 6 months, I'm the one that he just wanted it all the time. You know, from my dad, I learned the importance of our history. He was so afraid, right? He was so afraid that he'd have me memorize all the aircraft carriers. He loved World War II. He loved the Pacific battles. So I watch war movies now and I think about my dad and I'm connected to him in that way. You know, and I remember he died at home and I was right with him, and his bed, as he got sicker, he had to be more in bed. And right by the window there was this big, huge sunflower. I said, Dad, look at this sunflower. And he said, I can't believe it was just a little seed and look how big it is now. He said, I remember when you were a little seed. It was so, like I had, you know, I was 38 when my dad passed, but those last 6 months I had a lifetime and I was so grateful for every minute. And to be with him, you know, be with him and transition with him as he went through his transition. I remember when he left the house, the ambulance came and they put him in the bag and I said, please don't cover his face. And I had the sunflower and I put the sunflower so I could see the sunflower going. So with that, looking at so it was powerful, so I'm grateful for that. And you know, within each of us, there is that divine perfection, that seed that wants to express. And that's what we do in this teaching, we awaken to that. You know, with our beliefs, where they come from and how they relate to our assumptions. So Kevin, in his book, he says, our parents hold countless beliefs. Most of them are unconscious. For example, the world is dangerous. Work is something you do at a company. Men need to support their families. Getting drunk isn't a big deal. You know, some of my favorite that my dad used to say, women are hired from the neck down. You're dumb as a stump. You got concrete in your head? I know he didn't mean that, but I internalized those as a little girl. You know, the work of us now is think for yourself. What are some of the messages that you've gotten? And realize, you know what? They come from the wound. It's not about you. It's not personal. The second agreement is not personal. But what we get to do in this teaching, we get to undo those old thoughts and become aware of them. This teaching is about what am I thinking? What are my assumptions? And it can be something different. Do you know, and it starts with our spiritual practice, like Alan's beautiful meditation. You know, I love when he said, are you having a thought? Yeah. You know, it's so perfect because that's what it is. And how do we embrace our humanity and all that? So he says, so you recognize them. What are those messages you got? Beliefs guide parents' behavior, which in turn forms a family culture. Children internalize much of that culture, and those beliefs get implanted into their minds without any fanfare. Sometimes we recognize those beliefs, and sometimes we don't. Many remain unconscious and put our lives on autopilot. The lucky among us get help digging through these old tapes and how they govern our perceptions, feelings, and behaviors, and I'm going to add assumptions. So think for yourself right now, where do you have assumptions in your life? So how do we get out of assumptions? in the Four Agreements, he says, well, you just ask a question. Just ask a question, use your voice. And I thought, use my voice? I think I lost my voice when I was 10. I remember being in, again, children need to be seen, heard, and validated. And we're beautiful flowers we want to express like you saw in the park. That girl just expressing freely. We want to be that. But somehow we're not seen, we're not heard, we're not validated, we're not strong enough in who we are. So what happens? We shrink, we get quiet. I remember being in grade 3 and the teacher said, you're going to get a detention if you don't be quiet. I didn't know what a detention was and I kept on talking. I remember with my father, we were wrestling and he was doing something that I didn't like and I told him to stop and he hit me across the face. I stopped talking. I stopped using my voice. I know he didn't mean it. I didn't know at the time I was a little girl and I ran away. So my journey has been to be able to find my voice, to question my assumptions. But even right now, it's interesting. I'm sitting here and all of a sudden my voice is starting to get a little bit cranky. What if I don't know what I'm going to be able to say? So it's trusting that we can find that. And I know that ministry has been my greatest way to find that voice because we all have a voice. We all have something to say. So we can ask the questions. With communication, one thing I want to share with you that's so powerful, the most powerful thing for me in the last couple of months. So we're going to go into a little bit of brain science right now. Is there any physicians in here? Anybody who knows anything about biology, the brain, anything? Okay, does anybody know what the amygdala is? The amygdala, the wonderful amygdala, it's the center part of our brain and it's the reptilian brain. So our brains are hardwired for danger. So as soon as we feel we're in danger, our alarm systems go off. And that's basically from our old programming when we had to run away from the lions. Very, very, very primitive. So whenever we feel like we are at threat, the amygdala goes off. And when the amygdala goes off, it disengages 70% of the brain. Did you know that? So your frontal cortex no longer works. And what's so powerful in this, that your amygdala can get stimulated by different events, like a scary episode or something, but the amygdala can also get stimulated by your thoughts. How many of you scared yourself with your thoughts? And all of a sudden you're incapacitated. And where this came so powerful for me is in my relationship with my husband, as I was in a workshop and they were talking about leadership and communication skills. And she was talking about this amygdala and all of a sudden my hand went up and I thought, you said this is a leadership. I think it's about relationship because you're really helping me with my relationship with my husband. And that involved, so I'm not very computer inclined at all. I am not. Anybody here love computers, love electronics? The guys in the back, I love you. So I go to the computer, I don't understand it, I feel frustrated. So what do? I start pressing crazy buttons. I press, it's not responding, it's not responding. My husband comes in and tells me what to do, but I'm afraid of the computer scaring me because I'm not understanding, so my amygdala is stimulated. I didn't know this at the time before I did this workshop. And he says to me, you're not listening to me. He's talking to me, he's not listening to me. I can't listen to him because my amygdala is going off. And my brain is not functioning. I think I'm listening, but I can't because 70% of my brain is disengaged. He thinks I'm not listening to him. His amygdala is getting stimulated. He's speaking to me louder. He reminded me of my father. I'm getting afraid. You're not listening. You're not listening. And then he feels like I'm not listening to him. So he feels like I'm disrespecting him. His amygdala is going off. We have disaster. So whenever I go to the computer, I'm afraid to ask him, right? So I come home after this workshop and I said, honey, guess what? This is what I learned about the computer. So the computer was all of a sudden becoming a trigger. So a couple of weeks ago, I needed to do a talk, right? And I said, honey, can you help me? He goes, I'm not coming because your amygdala is out. And when your amygdala is out, you scare me. So what was so great, we were able to add humor to that. So what I'm talking about in this whole thing with assumptions is how do we use our words and how are we listening? And it's so great to recognize and to be aware when we feel our body getting triggered. So what happens when we do that, when you feel that amygdala getting triggered? You just take a breath and breathe and just say, at work I say, my amygdala is stimulated, I need a minute. And it adds a lightness because people aren't thinking that I'm not present to them or I'm ungrounded. Well, I'm in fear. I'm vibrating. I'm scared. So just knowing that physiology of how we work, and then we know we have spiritual tools. We have our breath. We have treatment. We have each other. And whatever that is, when you feel yourself vibrating, just get yourself grounded. For me, it's very much touch. If I'm grabbing someone's shoulder, oh, her amygdala's going off. It's okay. Take a breath. I'm safe. I'm okay. I can undo those programmings. So it's really interesting, I was worried that I was not going to have very much to say here, and it's like, oh my goodness, look at the time. So last night, when I was saying I didn't have anything to share with you, I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust Spirit, trust, right? And it's like, it was freaking scary, and Kelly knows me, she was such a great place for me, and even, I love Corey. Corey says, do you have anything on the PowerPoint? I thought, no, I got nothing from Spirit yet. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what it is. But what happened at 1 o'clock in the morning? A song came through for me. And the song that came through, when I was back to Jim Lockhart, so at the very, very beginning, he had us do an exercise where we did this visualization, and we had to discover what we came here to do. What was it? And mine was, what I saw very, very clearly was a heart. So I really internalized that I've come here to love. So to get the validation of that was amazing. So after I did the workshop, I was retreating for like about a day, and when I came out, this is the song that I was greeted with. So I would like for you to share this and take this in right now.
Dear brothers and sisters who yearn for a thriving new world, it has arrived. Love all that no longer serves. Honor what we rest. Live what we dream. Be what we came here to be. In peace, in dignity, in valor, in beauty, in light, and in love.
Know you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released. Know you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released. Beloved child, my heart is yours. Beloved child, with your faith, with your compassion, with your grace, oh, with your grace. Beloved child, you are the light of the world. Beloved child, go out, spread light to the world. alright to be afraid. Know that you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released. Know you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released. Know you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released. Know you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released. धन धन गुरु रामदास, धन धन गुरु रामदास, धन धन गुरु रामदास, धन धन गुरु रामदास। Know you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released. Know you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released.